Hey, I'm Josh Safdie.
And I'm Timothée Chalamet.
And we're breaking down a scene from our movie. You know, when I'm approaching every scene, I try to understand whose perspective it is. And sometimes that can be multiple people's perspectives, but you root it in one person's subjectivity for the most part. And this scene in particular is the intoxication of Marty. This is how he infects other people. This is what makes Marty a beautiful person, is that burning desire and that passion inside of him can be infectious. And it's about the glory of youth, the glory of stardom, the glory of theater, and the adoration that it can bring. And because this story is told through Kay's point of view, and she's kind of awakening from a malaise, she's a dormant person. She's given up on her dream. And coming into this scene and seeing somebody who's actively pursuing their dream in the most intense way, she's coming in mid-movie to that dream. You know, it was very important to understand her point of view of this young man.
I trained with Diego Schlaf to prepare to play table tennis in this film, along with his brilliant wife, Wei Wang, former Chinese Olympian, an incredible table tennis player. You know, there's a responsibility as an actor, no matter how cheesy it sounds, when you represent a community, in this film, the table tennis community, the way if you play a musician, the way if you are playing basketball on screen, if you're playing soccer on screen, you have to put the time in so it looks real on screen. In other words, to someone in that community, it looks respectable and passable. You don't want any glitch. You know, Josh is one of the most talented directors working right now. The production team we had was firing on all levels. You know, as an actor, how could you shirk the responsibility to put in the work to make the thing look real? As you said, there's a CGI component, but you know, you gotta put in the work.
Mauser, 2 games to 0. Game and match point, Mauser.
Let's have a little fun with this one.
Okay.
Have a little fun, right?
Gotcha.
Service switches to Kletzer.
Well, it's a little bit like professional wrestling, right? It's like it's pre-scripted, but the effects, the athletic effects are real. And if anything, if a heightened athletic event like a basketball game or a table tennis match is over 2 hours, 3 hours, we would shoot some of these scenes over 12 hours, 3-4 days in a row. It's more a marathon than a traditional sprint of an athletic event. Josh was pulling obscure points from a Norwegian table tennis final from the 1950s, or from this great move this guy did in the Olympics 20 years ago, and we were incorporating that in, so it really did have a Baryshnikov, Balanchine dance element to the whole thing. And I was looking more at those guys, or the spirit of a Michael Jordan, or the spirit of a Mike Tyson, a boxer in the ring, you know, something you wouldn't really correlate with table tennis usually. But if that's your passion, if that's your flag, if that's your personality, if that's your ethos as a human, like a Marty Mauser, to go, hey, I'm more than in this world. This is something I'm better than everyone at. I come from, in his case, you know, a life of not being empowered. This empowers me. You know, it's less about the mechanics, certainly in the plot of a film, and more what it represents. You know, the spirit of triumph and confrontation.
It was very important for Timmy to know how to play every single point, so he understood the mechanics and the effort that was required in order to perform every single trick. He needed to know how to do them. And I love seeing the videos of him learning how to blow the ball over the net. And sometimes we were able to get that, you know, live and on set. And other times the choreography between the two players is harder to do with a ball than it is without a ball. So the way that they were able to dance with one another, that's the part of Timmy that I saw that was a dancer, but also an athlete.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Kletsky serves 6 to
The coaching was beyond valuable. I can't even describe it. Just little things, the position of your elbow, the position of your hand and your wrist, particularly on a backhand. You know, what makes a backhand look amateur if you're pushing it, if you're not professional, you know, this sort of way it flips up if you have that training. You know, something that would take years to accrue, and on camera, if the ball's not there, I can do a take where, you know, or multiple takes where it's really mechanical on a practical level. Otherwise, like the athletic exhaustion over a course of a thing, I kind of had it in my head. I didn't want people's input in my ear. That's where the artistry comes into the process, you know? Like, you got to fiercely guard what part of the process is artistic. It's like on a movie, if there's a combat sequence, you know, the stunt coordinator is going to tell you, hey, these are the moves, but they're not going to tell you these are what the moves represent within the film, you know? That's your job. That's the actor's job.
We showed the film to Nikhil, the number 2 player who represented America in the Olympics 8 years ago. He loved it. He said to me, he really believed for the first time he was seeing table tennis on film the way that it feels as a player.
Nikhil's in the movie.
Yeah. And Diego had said to me when I first met with him, because he did Forrest Gump, so I really seeked him out. And he said to me, he's like, Josh, we can get the 8-time gold medalist who's played for 30 years and has been training since he was 3 years old, and they'll never be able to do what you want them to do because there's a certain level of emotional demand. The narrative inside of a point is almost impossible to create because it's real life and it's happening in real time. And he told me that Timmy and Koto and Geza, no one was going to be able to do more than 1 point in a row. And, you know, that was devastating to me because a huge part of shooting a sport is the in-between. It's the narrative in between. It's seeing the personalities that Timmy was just discussing. So I was in shock when I was sitting there and they were able to just roll through 1 point after another, so that then I can watch them improvise the emotional narrative of the game, what they're doing in between the points. And I would be hesitant to even say cut because they felt so confident and they had these points memorized. And some of the times they would do it with the real ball and I would just be in shock to see, you know, Timmy playing. He could play all those points. I don't think he can play an improvised point like that.
Right. No, exactly.
Kletsky serves 6 to 20. Mauser leads 2 games to 0. Match point again for Mr. Mauser. Your service again, Kletsky.
You know, this scene is about the joy. This is one of the moments when you're pursuing a dream and your individualism leads you to unexpected places and you get that hit of happiness. Happiness is an incredibly haunted feeling that we're all chasing all the time. And this is one of the moments in the film where you can see the dopamine hit that pursuing a dream does. The journey, the unexpected places that these feelings can take you. And that was something that I just told to both Geza and Timmy. This is why you're doing it. You're doing it for the adoration. You're doing it for the fun. You're letting people know that you're more than just an athlete. You know, you're a dancer. You're inspiring people. You're making it fun. You're making it entertaining. They're entertainers, which is what, you know, obviously the sport needs. Every sport needs entertainment. So there's a moment in the scene after they do their, exhibition point, after they put on this incredible display of talent, Geza lobs up the ball to allow Marty to just end the game. And the way that you let out, it's one of my favorite parts of the movie, the way that you let out a little laugh, like your boy is handing it to you and you're going to win the semifinals, and you let out a little and then you go in for the slam, and then you guys embrace in a way that is so inspiring to me, because that is what it's all about, is moments where you realize you're not in it alone. And I love that. So to me, they're more than just dancers. They're more than entertainers. They're lonely people who are connecting for a moment.
I feel like if you're not going up, you're going down. And I just feel like, look, things are subjective. It's in the eye of the beholder. And yet, I feel Josh, maybe because I've known him for so long, and the script is so fantastic, and he's such a brilliant director, clearly based on all the projects he's done. I feel like this project, we met each other at the right time. I feel like in both our artistic sensibilities, no matter how pretentious that sounds, because He's at the height of his powers. I mean, if you look at like even just the production design on this, the 1950s of it all, compared to Uncut Gems and Good Time, those movies are both New York Times top 100. You know, those are like damn near perfect movies. But for whatever reason, then this is Josh going, hey, look, I can do this in a period setting. You know, I can make it grateful in a period setting. And equally, I feel like I came in with all the realities of who I've been in my life and my youth that Josh wanted to tap into, but also an artistic perspective where we could kind of go toe to toe, not in a confrontational way, but in a collaborative way. The more I get older, the more I realize the creative wealth of the position I'm in is working with people with strong perspectives. Like, you want people to go toe to toe with you. And I was thinking about this the other day, the dearth of the come up is you might meet someone that has a really strong perspective that isn't like this. Anyway, that doesn't have much, you know what I'm saying? And I'll say it politely. That's like what you have to sift through when you're on your come up. But at the level that Josh assembled this crew, whether it's Jack Fisk, the production designer, Darius Ganji, to a fault, we had so many people firing on all cylinders. All of a sudden, like the assistant director departments was like, man, we're trying to make room for everyone's creative process, no matter how pretentious that sounds. But when the intent is pure for everyone, when it's not selfish, when the intent is pure, things come together. And Josh is that rare director where the editing, the sound design, the music, all of the above the line stuff, below the line, whatever you say it, that is beyond my scope, is in tandem with the acting and the actors and the realism in the movies. Hyper realism. It's hyper realism, even in the 1950s setting. That's really unusual, you know? This movie was like a comet that came out the sky, you know? That's like people were frying us in the comments saying, oh, the 1950s ping pong thriller we've all been waiting for. You know? But equally, having been a part of remakes and studio films that I'm proud of, this is the original film. You know what I mean? And look, man, this is so easy to talk about because, and it's almost like you don't want to rub people the wrong way, but you want people to know about the movie because then they go, all right, what are these people talking about? Because then when you go see it, the thing speaks for itself, you know?